Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. Thanks for making us a part of your Saturday morning, whether you are driving to the golf course, to the store, to your barbecue spot, hangout place.
To your grandma's house. Wherever it is that you're going.
Or maybe, you know what, maybe kids' soccer games or baseball games.
Yeah, there you go.
I feel like that's probably this time of day, right?
Yeah. I used to play this early.
Yeah, I don't have kids that age.
Back in the day when I would actually wake up early to do stuff.
It's 11.
I'm going to tell you right now, bro. I'm going to tell you right now. In college, on the weekends, I wouldn't wake up before 2 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
Party animal.
It wasn't even that I was like partying. It was just that I was like up all night
Friday
with my
night
roommates.
benders.
No. I was just like up Friday nights playing Fortnite with my roommates. Okay. And we would like go to sleep at like 7 a.m.
There you go.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
I miss those days too, man. I have to be responsible now. What is this?
Let's talk NBA playoffs. Big game last night. The Pacers beat the New York Knicks 114-109. Pacers go up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Both sides are 2-0, of course. The Thunder lead Minnesota in the West. And I think my initial take from this is it's a little bit underwhelming that both conference finals are 2-0 to start.
Look, man, I was very excited and very impressed with the conference semifinals.
Yeah.
Right? We had even a series that went up to Game 7 in the Thunder and Nuggets. Like, those ones were fun. The conference semifinals were fun. The conference finals so far haven't really been as exciting. I mean, you do have the comeback effort from the Pacers that I thought was obviously super exciting.
Yeah.
But, the series being 2-0, there's a really big possibility that both of them get swept.
There is. I think it's a little too early to say that is likely. But, yeah, it's a possibility. Either way, 2-0 start, not a good look for the Knicks or the Timberwolves. Of course, that Game 1 shot, got to talk about Tyrese Halliburton. Tying it up, final second, hitting the choke celebration. Thought that was special. Thought that was awesome in Madison Square Garden. Pacers, by the way, the road team, so they win 2 games in New York. Now they go back to Indiana for the next 2 games.
Right.
And that's big. And watching these playoffs, I've kind of had some thoughts about what the Jazz need to do to get there, right? And one conversation that a lot of people seem to have is, do you need a top 10 player to win a championship? And I think the overwhelming answer is yes, right? Like looking at recent champions, Celtics, yes, they have one. Nuggets, yes, they had one. Warriors, yes. Bucks, yes. Lakers, Raptors, Warriors, Cavs, Warriors, Spurs, on and on and on. The list of NBA champions, I don't know the last time an NBA team won a title without having a top 10 player on the roster. Now, there are some times where some conversations can, about getting to the championship without necessarily winning, right? Like Miami Heat. Was Jimmy Butler a top 10 player in the NBA 2 years ago? He's definitely in the playoffs, I would say yes, overwhelmingly. But again, like for the regular season, whatever, borderline top 10 player at that time. Suns, a couple years ago against the Bucks, Devin Booker was probably a top 10 player. But again, it's not like an overwhelming, oh yeah, for sure, right? So there are a couple instances where it was maybe close. But either way, I think you need to have the guy that is, one of the best players in the NBA. And I think looking at all the teams left right now, I think each of them do. I think that the Thunder, obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just won MVP. I think the Nuggets, Nikola Jokic is probably the best player in the world still. Halliburton proved it this year, top 10 player. Jalen Brunson is your guy that's like probably borderline, I'd say. But again, borderline might be enough to get you there. So regardless, I think that shows that that's where you start as far as what the Jazz would need to get there, because this is what their goal was. This is why they tore down the Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert roster, because that team couldn't get out of the second round. They couldn't get it done.
Right.
They are chasing the for sure top 10 guy that you build around and can get you to the finals and give you a shot. I do think it's interesting that all of these teams have been built in different ways. The Thunder, of course, traded away Paul George, got a ton of draft picks and their franchise centerpiece in SGA. The Nuggets really just got lucky with drafting the best player in the world in the second round. The Pacers, again, traded away Paul George and then got Sabonis and traded Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton. So that's a little bit of a funny thing. And then the Knicks signed Jalen Brunson in free agency and then made some trades for their other key players. Funny side note, two of these teams got here by trading away Paul George.
I think that's the best part about this.
I think that's funny. Maybe that's why the Jazz need to trade for Paul George.
Going back to, well, no, because the teams that traded for Paul George, did they really, I mean, did they really benefit?
Yeah, not
right?
really.
The Thunder didn't benefit until they traded him away to, who did they trade him to? Was it the Clippers?
The Thunder traded him to the Clippers.
The Clippers, yeah. There you go. Why did I forget that? The Pacers obviously had built up an arsenal of picks that eventually led to Sabonis, that eventually led to Halliburton, right?
Well, the Pacers sent Paul George to the Thunder for Sabonis. Sabonis was on the Thunder, yeah.
Oh, see, there you go.
But yeah, either way, that led to Halliburton.
Exactly. But the teams that actually traded for him, did they?
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually really benefited off of Paul George.
Not really.
So I don't know. I don't know if the Jazz want to get involved in that.
No, I don't know. Go listen, to our 10:30 segment. The Thunder did it, and they were able to flip him. But yeah, you're not flipping Paul George right now. Either way, I think these conference finals, a lot to take away. I think on the Knicks-Pacers side, obviously two very close games. You had game one that goes in overtime, game two really close. And it just feels like, again, as we've seen with so many Tom Thibodeau teams, if you look at the minutes these guys play, their starters are all playing. Mikal Bridges, 45 minutes. Jalen Brunson, 39 minutes. OG Anunoby, 36. And then you've got Karl Anthony Towns at 28 and Josh Hart at 29. Then to the bench, Mitchell Robinson, really good defender, 29 minutes. And then Miles McBride, 25 minutes. And that's it. You had Campaign play 9, but that doesn't, 0 of 3 from the field. 1 assist, 1 turnover. So, what I'm trying to say is you have a 7-man rotation, and that's not going to cut it in the playoffs. That's not going to cut it. Whether you're getting production from them or not, you need to go deeper on your bench than that, and that's just not something the Knicks have because they spent so many assets to get Mikal Bridges and some of these other guys on the roster. They're just out of gas, and when it gets late in the fourth quarter, and the Pacers have been the fourth quarter team, literally all season long, you just can't compete with that. So if the Knicks want to win this series, they need to have such a big lead where you can slow down in the fourth quarter a little bit and still win. If it's a close game in the fourth, I know that Jalen Brunson won Clutch Player of the Year or whatever made-up award that was. At this point, this late in the season, that doesn't matter.
Right.
The team's running out of gas, and right now Indiana has all the momentum. Going back to Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton is on a heater, and you know what? Pascal Siakam did it for him last night, 39 points, and he was a huge. Think they traded for him. I don't think he was a free agent a couple years ago.
They traded from him from Toronto.
Yeah,
and he's been a phenomenal addition.
Yeah,
honestly, he's kind of. I feel like. Look, first of all, this Indiana Pacers team has really flown under the radar.
Which is funny because they were here last year.
Right.
But everybody was like, oh, this is the Atlanta Hawks fluke run. They're not going to be here again.
Oh, you know what? Yes. I did. I remember seeing that online.
I don't know if I ever said it because we weren't on air at that point, but I definitely thought that.
Right. And, a lot of credit has to be given to the Pacers for what they've been able to accomplish. Tyrese Halliburton was voted the most overrated player in the NBA earlier this year by his peers. And he took it personal, man.
Yeah.
He took it personal, and now him and Siakam leading this Pacer team to a conference finals. Not only that, but being up 2-0, stealing home court advantage from the Knicks. You won 2 games on the road. You're taking this back to your place.
Yeah.
You're in the driver's seat. You're in the best case scenario for yourselves right now. All you got to do is close it out at home, and you're into an NBA Finals.
Meanwhile, the Thunder, they go up 2-0. They're going to be going up to Minneapolis now. See if the Timberwolves can get back into it. These first 2 games have not been super competitive, I wouldn't say. Finals were 118-103, 114-88. I think the biggest thing, especially with Game 2, is Julius Randle put up a stinker, and that was really unfortunate because he had been good all playoffs
6
for
points.
the Timberwolves. 6 points, 2 of 11 from the field. That is awful.
That's terrible.
That is so bad. The other thing with Minnesota is they have not been able to play Rudy Gobert. Only 30 minutes. Game 1 was 21 minutes. Game 2, a little more, 30 minutes. But he's just ineffective. He can't really do anything against the Thunder's lineup because of how they play. And we could get into the whole, SGA foul baiting stuff. But regardless, he's putting up points. And he is their centerpiece. I think the bigger story for the Thunder is that they continue to have a Robin to SGA's Batman, and that's Jalen Williams, just named 3rd team All-NBA. He made his first All-Star selection this season. 25 points in Game 2 the other night. 26, sorry. But still, when you have a reliable second option, even with SGA playing out of his mind, you need somebody else to step up, and J-Dub has shown that. So we'll see.
For me, Minnesota, I feel like they're still struggling to effectively shoot the ball. And that's ultimately what's been biting them.
28% from 3 in Game 2. I think Game 1 it was like 24% or something.
Right.
I don't have the box score
Right.
pulled
And
up. But
you remember last series, they were talking about how bad they were from 3. And they were talking about how bad their shooting has been. And I don't think that they've fully recovered from that. I still think that this Timberwolves team is struggling to shoot the ball. And on top of that, you have you have the Thunder who just matches up, I guess, really poor with, really good with them because they're
it's a hard
dominating.
matchup for the Timberwolves.
There you go. And for the Timberwolves, look, I know Anthony Edwards finally got going. He got 32 points this last time, and then you have Jaden McDaniels there who scored 22, but at the same time, you're not really getting much production off of your other guys.
Yeah.
And that's also something that needs to change.
Well, Julius Randle single-handedly beat the Warriors, essentially, right?
Right.
And to not show up in this series is bad. Anthony Edwards, he did have a good game, 32 points, no turnovers, which is huge because that's what the Thunder do, is they turn you over. So really good performance by him, but the big thing is 1 of 9 from 3. And I think the key is like one of the most athletic players in the NBA. I know that he put a lot of work in to develop his three-point shot, one of the best shooters in the NBA this season as far as from 3. But if it's not working, it's not going to work. And at a certain point in the game, you got to realize that is a detriment to your team. If it's not going in, you just got to get to the rim. The Thunder or the Timberwolves actually shot more free throws than the Thunder in Game 2. They shot 26 free throws to the Thunder's 24. For as much foul baiting talk as there has been surrounding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think that's the thing is you still got to get to the interior. I know that it's hard, but the Thunder's strength is with their perimeter defense and their length around the arc and their athleticism. But once you get into the interior, you're driving on Jalen Williams, the center, or Chet Holmgren. And, those are guys you can score on, especially for Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. So I think that's what they should be doing is trying to drive more, get to the rim more. We saw it a little bit in Game 2 compared to Game 1. Game 1, they barely drove at all. But hopefully for Minnesota's sake and for our sake as viewers wanting to see a competitive series, we'll see if they can turn things around Game 3 tonight.
I think in this series, I would be very, very surprised, very shocked if the Timberwolves are able to pull one back honestly.
You think so?
I think tonight the
You
Thunder...
think it's already done? You're burying them.
Yeah, and I know it's a little early. But I really, really love the way the Thunder match up with them.
I'm going to Minnesota in a month.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my mom's from there.
Oh,
I'm gonna
nice.
go see Grandpa.
Nice.
But yeah, so got local ties. We'll see. I think it's too early to bury them. I do. It's the conference finals. Like I said, it is underwhelming that both series are 2-0, but I think it's a little too early to bury anyone. But if the Thunder win tonight, go up 3-0, that's when you can bury them. Because nobody's ever
maybe you pull one back in Game 4.
Yeah.
But
nobody's ever come back from 3-0.
You're going if you go into if you go into Game 5, at 3-1, you're gonna that's it.
Yeah.
I don't expect this to go any further than Game 5.
One last thing I want to hit on with this. I saw some things online, and that's why I want to bring it up. Just some reaction from Jazz fans watching this. Is I saw a lot of people say, look at the Thunder, this is why tanking works. And I want to remind everybody that the Thunder did not build this roster by tanking. Completely, as I said, you look at these 4 teams, they were all built in drastically different ways. So I think the main takeaway is there's not a blueprint on building a championship team. You just have to make smart moves. Whatever those moves are, they have to be smart. You got to have a good front office, good coaching. That's what matters most. The Thunder built this roster, again, by trading away Paul George for SGA and 7 picks.
Right.
One of those turned into Jalen Williams, their second best player. So they did have 2 bad seasons. One of those bad seasons turned into Chet Holmgren at number 2 overall. But regardless, your best player and your second best player on this team were from the trade, not from tanking. Not to say that the Jazz can't get good players from tanking, but I just don't think that as far as blueprints, Oklahoma City is not the team to look at for Jazz fans. If you're talking about that, I would look at the Thunder, or not the. Don't look at the Thunder. Look at the Rockets. Look at the Rockets.
I knew what you're saying.
Look at the Pistons.
Yeah.
Look at teams that draft players really high in the draft and develop and build internally from within. And it's a long, slow process. It's painful, but this is where the Jazz are at. Don't think that the Thunder are a good comparison because they're really not at all.
Unless you take a swing on someone, they trade him in, and they ends up being as good as Shea.
Right, but even then, when the Thunder traded Paul George for Shea, because he had played a year for the Clippers already, and people knew. I can't remember if he won Rookie of the Year. I'm getting hazy now, but people knew that he had All-Star potential by then. Mm-hmm. If you trade Lowry away, I don't know if you're getting an All-Star potential player back at this point. But again, going back to the whole 76ers and Paul George thing, if you can trade him to Philly for the 3rd pick, if you can trade him to San Antonio for the 2nd pick, if you can trade him to Houston for a top 10 pick, it's just another dart of the dartboard, giving you another shot. And anyway, don't compare the Jazz to the Thunder. It's not close.
It seems like if the Jazz want to find their top 10 player, find their top 10 superstar that can potentially help them get over the top, it's going to have to come from the draft.
Right, yes. Yeah. Thank you for finding a point to make out of this. Yeah. For the Jazz to find their franchise cornerstone, and this is the path they have chosen, by the way, right? This is what Danny Ainge, probably Ryan Smith, Justin Zanuck, this is what they have all agreed upon as the best path for finding a franchise player for the Jazz is through the draft, through bottoming out, through throwing all these darts at the board, taking all these draft picks. Now, you haven't found it yet. You've made 6 first-round selections over the past 2 years, and I don't think any of those guys would qualify as your franchise player. But the good thing is they have found some pieces, right? It's not like all those guys are duds. Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, they had really good rookie seasons. They outperformed expectations. I think they'd be solid role players.
I would agree.
Bryce Sensabaugh has proven that he could be a very, very valuable role player. jury's out on Keontae George. I think Taylor Hendricks has star potential. I don't think he has really franchise player potential, but I could really see him being one of the better two-way players in the NBA. And then we'll see what happens with Cody Williams. But I think there are some pieces there. It just looks bad right now because you don't have the guy. But once you get the guy, things are going to turn around because of the pieces that are in place already.
Would it be awesome for the Utah Jazz to, trade for somebody who can come in and be your top 10 player? Absolutely. Would that speed up the timeline?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. But there's just no guarantee.
Right?
Well,
and that's just simply not the path they've chosen.
Exactly.
And it's too late now.
Well, and I think if you look back at like that Shea trade, I don't think anybody ever thought that he would be at this position today. They took a swing. and it worked out incredibly well for them.
I'm looking at his first year.
I think would it be awesome? Would it be great? Absolutely. You speed up the timeline, and for Jazz fans, obviously that gets you a little bit closer to a position where you can start to win games.
Yeah.
Sure. But it's going to have to come from the draft.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Another thought real quick that I had watching these playoffs and watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the biggest thing that stands out from him is his size, right? Because he's about 6'5", 6'6", but he's skinny. Who does that remind you of? Cody Williams. A little bit. Now, Cody's a little bit taller is the thing. And Shai is a much better ball handler at this point than Cody Williams is. The point, I'm not trying to say that Cody Williams has MVP potential because that would be ridiculous to say. But the point is, you can be small in the NBA and still find success.
I would agree.
And even though Cody Williams had one of the worst rookie years we've really ever seen, to be frank, I'm not out on him. I'm not ready to give up on him.
Right. It's still too early to tell.
There are ways to succeed at his size, and we know the shot making is there, the shot creation is there. And you know what? Looking back at some of the scouting reports for Cody Williams coming out of Colorado, a lot of people were talking about his ball handling being good for his size. And so I don't think that he's ever going to be, again, because he's not a primary ball handler. He's not a point guard. But if you can find a way, Cody Williams, to manipulate the space kind of the same way that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is. I saw a lot of comparisons to like a snake or like a slinky. And the way that he's able to draw fouls because of the way he moves around people and around the paint and things like that, I think that would be really beneficial for Cody Williams. Now, of course, when you're a star, you get a much better whistle than if you're a rookie coming off, or a second-year player coming off a really bad rookie season, right?
Yeah.
So it may be really hard for him to start drawing the whistle consistently, but I do think that watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander perform at this level, it makes me feel better about Cody Williams because it reminds me that you don't have to be huge. You don't have to put on 25, 30 pounds of muscle like Giannis did, right? Or like Rudy did. You can be slight. You can have a smaller build and still find success. So, again, not trying to say Cody Williams will turn into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but there are ways to succeed being a small guy.
Yep, absolutely. And I think it's just up for him to figure that out.
Yeah.
And figure out how to do it.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up next, we'll get to 5 minutes of a couple of things to hit there. Team USA going to be playing for gold. We've got NHL playoffs to talk about that. Much more next. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Violet Coleman brought back by Beniers. Along with O'Connor. Rink wide pass and a quick shot. Score! Esaban slides it by Markstrom. And it's 4-0 Team USA.
There you go. You hear it right there. Team USA getting it on in the Men's Hockey World Championships. They beat Sweden 6-2 in the semifinal round. USA is going to be going for gold, baby.
That's awesome, man.
Big deal there.
You love to see it. And it's awesome, too, that there are some local ties in this Team USA, man.
4 Mammoth players on the roster.
There you go.
You got Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley, Josh Doan, and Michael Kesselring.
Love it.
Clayton Keller is second on the team in points with 11. Logan Cooley has been named one of the 3 stars of the roster for Team USA. So a couple of guys, really heavy contributors there. On the other side of the bracket, Team USA will be playing either Switzerland or Denmark. Switzerland leads 3-0 in the second period there. The championship game will be Sunday. So something to keep an eye on. I know that the Four Nations face-off ended in bitter defeat for Team USA, but taking gold home from the Worlds would be huge. I do want to say Canada suffered a really embarrassing defeat. Just want to make fun of them. They were heavy favorites to win the tournament, I believe, and they lost 2-1 to Denmark the other day in the quarterfinals. And they have like an all-star roster, like Sidney Crosby and some other really, really good players playing for Canada, and they lose. So we'll see if Captain Clayton Keller, he's captaining this team. We'll see if they can get it done. I think this is huge. I'm excited.
I also think it's awesome that they were able to beat Sweden in Sweden, man.
Yeah, they are the host country
Sweden
for this
hosting
tournament.
it, and they had a Freebird just blasting over the arena in Sweden for after the.
We should have came in with that. We'll do that next segment.
Yeah, we should have. Phenomenal stuff. And it just makes it a little bit better and a little bit sweeter for us here in Utah. One, because we're all about the hockey now.
Yeah.
We'll take in any hockey that we can get as we continue to learn the sport and continue to learn to love this sport. And of course the local ties with Cooley, with Keller, with Doan, with Kesselring. It's all awesome to see them be able to play in this final, man. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Moving on to the NHL playoffs, semifinals are underway, or conference finals, however you want to call it, underway there. Let's see, in the West, we've got the Stars and the Oilers tied up 1-1 there.
Oilers with the win last night.
Yeah, Oilers win last night 3-0. I did see a spicy video of McJesus in the locker room during Game 1. He was getting after his team.
Yeah.
Looks like he motivated them, and they beat Dallas 3-0 last night. So that the West is tied up. The East, not so much. The Panthers are putting the beat down on on the Carolina Hurricanes, and it has not been particularly close. 6-0 in Game 2, 5-2 in Game 1.
Yeah.
So it looks like the Panthers are coming out of the East.
And that's kind of what it seemed like after that first series for them in the playoffs, right?
They beat the Lightning 4-1.
Where they beat the Lightning, right? And then
But then Toronto took them to Game 7.
Toronto kind of, put in some doubt for the Florida Panthers, but now the Panthers are like, hey, you know what? We're still the team to beat.
They're really good.
We're still the top dogs.
Defending Stanley Cup champions.
We won it, and then Drake happened. We won it last season, but we're proving why we can win it again this year. That series in the East, unfortunately, hasn't been fun. But man, that Oilers Stars series,
yeah, this is big.
That one's been fun to watch so far.
Yeah, McDavid on the Oilers still hasn't been able to get over the top and get his championship there. But then the Stars really deep as well. I mean, they're a perennial contender, and they made the big move for Mikko Rantanen at the trade deadline. That would be cool for them if they could work it out, and see that move pay off. But the Panthers made moves as well, right? Bringing in Marchand. So I think that is pretty interesting. 2 of the 4 conference finalists made moves at the trade deadline to bolster their rosters. Maybe they'll be playing each other for the championship. But again, don't count out the Oilers simply because they have one of the best players in hockey. I mean, all 4 of these teams have really good players, right? But I think Connor McDavid, you can call him one of the best, if not the best player. I mean, best nickname, I think.
I think it would be awesome to see Mikko Rantanen and the Stars make it to the championship, to the Stanley Cup Finals, and have a matchup with the Florida Panthers. I think that would be some really exciting hockey. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we get a rematch from last season.
That would be. I think I'd rather have the rematch. I love rematches and championships. Oilers and Panthers. I think that would be cool.
One rematch is fine.
But you don't want like a 3 in a row. You don't want Warriors.
But when
Cavs.
you go Warriors Cavs and it's just consistently Warriors Cavs, it gets kind of.
See, I disagree with that. I thought the Warriors Cavs deal was so cool.
No, Well, I think once it gets to a point, like, it just gets redundant.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
For me, I feel like it gets redundant. One is fine. One is great. The rematch is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But once you get to like a third or fourth or whatever, however long
I guess there's probably a point where it's like, okay, nobody else is good.
Yeah, I was like, come on, man.
Christian, you've got to be sick of seeing my Chiefs in the Super Bowl, right?
It's fine.
It's
Of course.
No,
Yeah,
don't lie to me,
We
Christian.
couldn't make it through a show without Parker
Yes.
plugging the Chiefs.
What do the Chiefs have
Alex,
to do with
I'm
this?
on your side. We keep showing up, and I know Christian's sick of it.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
I would
Alex
agree.
is talking about.
Right, but
you don't want to
it's-
see the same team over and over and over again. You want a new
But
set, a new winner, almost every year or two.
I think with it, like, I agree that with the Chiefs, but like if it's, again, like being that we got the Chiefs Eagles again this year, I liked that. I wanted to see story number 2.
You liked that because we got our butts whooped.
No. Even before that, I'm saying I like that, the Eagles got a chance. Even before the game, I was like, oh, this is cool seeing a rematch. I would like seeing a rematch of Panthers and Edmonton.
That's what I said. Yeah, one is fine.
And I would like, because say Edmonton wins this year, hypothetically,
Yeah.
it's 1-1, baby. Who's going to win the third, right?
I guess.
It's a story.
It is a story. And obviously we'll be tuned in regardless. I'm a big sucker for watching these Stanley Cup playoffs
And I don't know why
now.
their numbers have been so awful. The viewership numbers that's like
really?
a huge, yes, in
I haven't
America.
seen them yet.
So the viewership numbers have dropped like badly, and they're worried.
Interesting.
In Canada, they're doing just fine.
It seems like, at least from I guess our perspective here in Utah and in Salt Lake, it seems like everyone's kind of been locked in.
Yeah, it is funny how that works. Like in our world,
Right.
everybody's watching it, but
I'll have to go
nationwide,
look at the
I
numbers.
don't think very many people are watching. I don't know, but
Interesting.
I think the finals will draw some eyes.
They always
as
do.
always.
They always do.
Last story here in 5 minutes of College Football Playoff Committee approved the straight seeding model, getting rid of automatic buys for conference champions. Of course, the big story last year was Boise State getting an automatic bye as the 3 seed? Or maybe they were 4 seed. Either way, they had an automatic bye. A lot of people were unhappy with that. Boise State actually took some shots at the College Football Playoff Committee.
Oh, did they?
Basically, yeah, I can't remember exactly what they said, but they were just basically making fun, calling
After
it the
the
Boise
sitting?
State rule.
After the scene got approved?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Just saying, oh, you made this rule because of us. So I don't know. There's a lot of talk about conference championship games not mattering anymore. I'm not ready to make that opinion yet, but it does kind of lower how much they matter. But I wouldn't say they don't.
I would agree.
I wouldn't say they don't matter.
Well, I think that's a question that's going to be answered once we get into the season,
Yeah,
and once we start seeing all this being played out. As far as like the seeding goes, though, I am a fan. I do
The straight seeding.
The straight seeding. I do
Yeah.
enjoy that. I do like that. Just because I feel like it'll give you an opportunity to have better matchups.
There's no reason that the 4th-ranked team, I don't remember how it was set up last year, but there's no reason that, a 4th-ranked team should not have a bye and a lower team should have the bye.
Right. Well, this
Because
is
they
why
won
we're
their
having this. Yeah,
conference,
this is
right?
why we're having this conversation, is because Boise and Arizona State, who I think Arizona State were like the bottom team that got in. I think even Clemson was ranked above Arizona State last season, but obviously Arizona State got the bye because of the conference championship.
Yeah. So, no, I'm with you. I think the top 4 seeds should get the top 4 buys. But I think the other thing about this is something that's going to be changed every year, I think.
Which
They're talking about,
and that I'm not a fan of.
they're talking about expanding already to a 14 or 16 team playoff in the near future. I think that's going to happen soon. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm not a fan of changing it every single year. Don't change it just to change it.
Exactly.
If you know that you're moving towards a 16 team format, do it. Like, get there already. But then you've also got all this drama between the Big 10/SEC versus the ACC/Big 12. Of course, the big dogs want to push the little dogs out and hoard everything for themselves and try to limit the amount of automatic bids for the smaller conferences. So that's another story to to monitor as this evolves?
I think right now, with going into this new straight seating format, I think it'll work a lot better for the viewers to watch better matchups. And I think ultimately, from a neutral perspective, I think that's obviously what you want.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be great. But I feel like once we get to a point where we've figured it out and the playoff is super great and super fun, then let's just leave it at that, you know?
Right.
There's no need to change it every
year.
single year.
But that's where we are in college football. Every single year.
Look, get it to 16. Get rid of the buys. Get it to 16. Everyone just plays straight up from the first round.
No buys.
No buys.
Interesting.
16. Everybody goes head to head. You're going to have number 1 taking on number 16 that first week. And then you just go from there, man.
Could be.
That
Call up the committee. Get Alex on it.
Look, dude, I feel like there's a simple answer in front of our eyes to fix this whole thing. And the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the SEC just refuse to see it.
Well, they're greedy.
I
Alex,
know.
And they want to make every slimy dollar they can.
It's whatever. We'll still watch.
We'll still watch. That's the bottom line.
We'll
too.
still be
Good
there.
point.
Jeez.
Got to take a break. Coming up next, going to wrap up the show, talk about a little what else we got going on the station today. So stay with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Freebird, baby.
Let's go!
Team USA will be playing for gold in case you missed it. Team USA beat Sweden 6-2. They will be playing the winner of Switzerland and Denmark on Sunday. It looks like it's going to be Switzerland. Switzerland just went up 4-0. So gold medal game on Sunday.
Gets me freaking fired up, man.
Got some mammoth representation on Team USA, captained by Clayton Keller. So that's huge.
Love it.
Talked about that last segment. In case you missed it, you can go find it on the podcast page. As far as what we got going on today, Alex, we've got Real Salt Lake versus Vancouver, home. America First Field, 7:30 first kick, 6:30 pre-match. I saw a stat. RSL has already lost more games this season than they did all of last year.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Well, I had to.
It is true. Not the best of starts to the year for Real Salt Lake. They're taking on one of the best teams, if not the best team in Major League Soccer right now in the Vancouver Whitecaps. I don't expect it to go much differently. I mean, they just played 3 weeks ago, and I don't anticipate it to go much differently than it did last time. The speed in which Vancouver attacks is very, very good. They've got some crazy athletes running in behind the defense, and that's what really hurt Real Salt Lake last game. I almost anticipate something similar.
What was it, 2-1?
It was 2-1, yeah. It was 2-1, and honestly, it was
But it felt
a
more
late.
than that.
It felt more than that, and honestly, it was a late penalty from Diego Luna to get the one in like the 90th second minute or something like that. It was late in the game, and so it was a game that was honestly dominated by Vancouver, even with Vancouver not playing their star players.
Diego Luna just called up to the U.S. men's national team training. What do they call it? Training camp?
Training camp, yeah.
When is that in effect right now?
No, he'll still be available tonight.
Okay.
That one...
it starts in June, right?
Yes. Starts up here in a couple of weeks, so obviously Diego Luna will be expected to miss some time. And honestly, there's a Gold Cup coming up this summer with, and I anticipate that Diego Luna will be on that roster. I would be very shocked if Diego Luna is not at the Gold Cup with the men's national team.
Okay.
So it's going to be a summer where Real Salt Lake are going to have to figure out how to win without Diego Luna.
I don't think they figured out how to win, even with Diego Luna.
That's where we're at.
So, yeah, figuring out how to win without your best player when you can't win even with your best player is
Real Salt Lake they have a lot of questions to answer, man. And it's going to start here coming up in so the players report June 1st. Real Salt Lake does have a bye week on June 7th, so they don't have to worry about him missing too much time. But then you look at the summer with the Gold Cup. That's a month-long tournament.
Yeah.
I anticipate the U.S. men's national team to make it to the championship game in that competition.
Who all is in the Gold Cup?
It's all the teams in North America and Central America.
Okay.
And so, again, I anticipate them to make it far. And so, I like I said, I think Real Salt Lake are going to go a month or more without Diego Luna.
Whew.
Yeah.
Go
I'd be
see him
shocked.
while you can.
I'd be shocked if he's not on that roster.
Go see him while you can.
Yep.
Big game tonight at America First Field. Again, if you don't have plans, I would definitely recommend going out there. I love going to Real games. I love the stadium. I love the environment there. Even when they're struggling to pile up wins, I think the games are really fun to watch. And you know what? To be honest, Alex, it's not like they've been getting their butts kicked every game, right? Like all these games are close.
They are close. It's just the lack of goal scoring, man.
Yeah.
The lack of goal scoring. When you don't score goals that push pressure on your defense to defend better.
Yeah.
You give the other team one opportunity, they take advantage of it. You're down 1-0. All the pressure's on your defense. And that's kind of been the story of the season so far for Real Salt Lake.
Go watch a Memorial Day game at America First Field. Again, 7:30 first kick, 6:30 pre-match here on the Zone. And then on the other signal on 1280, we're going to have the Bees versus Omaha there. So check that out for the Salt Lake Bees. That is at 6:30. No pre-game show for the Bees there. I always forget what it's called.
The on-deck circle. There you go.
Just came to me. 6:30 straight up for the Bees.
Yeah, there you go.
On 1280. So, again, thanks for listening. Be safe. Enjoy your Memorial Day plans. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone.